You don't have to be 100% confident. You just have to believe in yourself 1% more than your fear. Find out how right now. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of It's My Time Now Coaching. If you're wondering what's next in your career or life, you are in the right place. Through solo and guest episodes, you'll gain practical tips, tools, and inspiration to help you uncover blocks, gain confidence, and be, do, and have what you want. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, where we explore what it really means to start fresh on your own terms. If you're wondering, is this all there really is? You're in exactly the right place. In this episode, I sit down with Lorraine Rise, a career coach and founder of Career Uprising, who made a bold decision in her early 30s to leave behind the corporate grind and build a life and business that gave her freedom, purpose, and flexibility. 10 years later, she's helping hundreds of mid-career women to do the same. In this episode, you'll discover why midlife is actually the best time to pivot, what most people get wrong when changing industries, and how to overcome imposter syndrome and self-doubt. So whether you're itching to make a career shift, struggling with self-doubt, or simply ready for more meaning and control in your next chapter, this episode is your permission slip to start now, even if you don't feel ready. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a career and life transitions podcast. If you're asking yourself, what's next? You are in the right place. I interview incredible women across the globe for this podcast who share their stories of reinvention and who will give you their insights and expertise on how to rediscover who you really are, what you really want, and how to get there in your next stage of life. This week, I'm really thrilled to have on the show Lorraine Rise. Lorraine is a career coach, she's a speaker, and the founder of Career Uprising. With over a decade of experience in recruiting and career development, she helps mid-career professionals navigate career transitions with confidence. Through her coaching programs, podcast, and speaking engagements, Lorraine empowers individuals to align their careers with their values and goals. It's so wonderful to have you on the show, Lorraine. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. Yeah, thank you so much. That was a beautiful intro, and
Yes.
that's exactly what I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I just wanted to, before we get into some of the other things, I always like to understand kind of the reinvention story of my guests. And so I understand that you made a bold decision at 31 to leave the corporate world, and with 8 years of experience, and now 10 years later, here you are building a thriving coaching business and helping professionals all over achieve really fulfilling careers. So tell our audience what was the decision? What led you to that decision to leave your corporate work and start your own business? And
Thank you. Yeah, I
Mhm.
will tell you, it was not something that I originally ever set out to do.
Mhm.
Not at all. In fact, I actually resisted the idea of owning a business for a long time, right? Sometimes an idea comes to us and it whispers quietly and we ignore it, we push it away. That's not for me. I'm not good enough. All of those things, right? I had all of that as well. So for me, it took actually getting into a situation where I was in the proverbial toxic job, right? It took a crisis, really, for
Mhm.
me to wake up and say yes to something that had been calling me quietly for a while, but it wasn't urgent, it wasn't necessary. Sometimes we ignore things until life makes it more urgent for us, right? So in my case, I think I needed a lot of warnings. But essentially in 2015, when I founded my business, I found myself in a place where not only was I in a very ill-fitting job that I probably never should have taken, other than for the fact that it was an incredible learning opportunity of what not to do and how to not be aligned with a job. I learned that. But more than that, I was at a place where my daughter at the time was only 5, and I just felt very constrained in the working world. I couldn't have the schedule that I wanted
Hmm.
and have ownership over my career and my schedule. I wasn't going to be there to be able to get her off the bus every day. And I wanted to do that. So for one of the jobs that I was in around that time, I asked if I could work from home. This was well before COVID, of course. Working from home wasn't the cool thing that it became.
Yeah.
They said, hard no, absolutely not. This is what we've always done, even though I didn't need the office for anything. And so that was frustrating, hitting that wall. Then I also get into this very ill-fitting job, and which I end up getting fired from after just a few months. That's a whole nother story and podcast
Okay.
probably. But I love telling that story. But the bottom line is I just kept hitting walls and barriers and feeling frustrated and
Mm,
realizing at the end of the day that in order for my career to fit into my life with my young kid and what I had, I was going to have to create it.
mm,
I might not find it in the working world. It
mhm.
might not fall into my lap. I might have to go, okay, what does work for me? How can I replace my income? How can I structure this in a way that works for me? So I look back now and I'm like, man, that was bold. I can't
Yeah,
believe I did that.
I know.
But it was out of necessity. I said, this
Yes.
is how this is going to have to work for me.
Yeah.
If being more at home and having flexibility is a priority for me,
Yeah.
I might have to create it
Yes.
instead of finding it. So
Yeah.
that's what I did.
That is very bold. Yeah. That is really cool. A few things that come out from that is you talked a little bit about you had that internal thing, and then you just kind of, it was a crisis. Like it was both internal and external. And that's so funny because I just had a presentation yesterday where when we have these transitions in life and careers, there's triggers, right? And they can be internal triggers that we have inside that's just kind of a little whisper, which is what happened to me. It was that whisper that wouldn't go away. 2 years later, it's like, okay, it's got too loud. I had to listen to it. Or there are those external kind of drastic triggers, like you had, like it was a toxic situation you had to leave from. So those are that kind of came up. And also being able to design your life the way you want, with that you have your flexibility that you want, you have ownership. Then the final thing, then, when you said that you kept hitting walls or barriers, and sometimes if we think of those walls as doors instead to
Ah,
open it up,
yes, I like that.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are, it's very important because those conflicts or those walls or those things that stop us are actually signals that we're onto something. So
Yeah.
that's kind of just what
Absolutely.
came into my mind when you said that.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like when we hit a wall, we immediately stop and go, oh, well, that's bad. I can't do it. No, sometimes it just means you either haven't done it yet or there's a different way to achieve it.
Yeah,
Sometimes we need to reframe what
right.
hitting a wall means. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to have to just be miserable and put up with this. Maybe
Yes,
it means I need to get creative and think about how else I can make this happen. And
100%. Yeah,
that's how I looked at it.
yeah, wonderful. So you made this big shift, and sure that you had a lot of fears and self-doubt and associated with your transition. So as did I, and can be very scary when we leave something that's comfortable and or stable, I guess.
Financially comfortable, at
Yes,
least.
yes,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. So how does one actually do that then? How does one actually navigate these changes, especially because of our fears and self-doubt?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, a lot of the process was very uncomfortable. And I think that the only reason I have been able to achieve whatever I've achieved thus far in my life is because I've been willing to be uncomfortable. All of this has required discomfort. And the funny thing is, I think here's how I make the decision. And this is something I teach to my coaching clients too. We oftentimes are trying to avoid discomfort, but there's discomfort on both sides, right? There's discomfort in staying where I am and having to
Yes.
conform to this, and it doesn't work for my life, and I'm unhappy. And then there's discomfort with going out on your own and making a change, and it's new and unknown. The difference to me is one of them is productive. The other one of them gets me closer to my goals and opens up doors, as you said. The other one is a closed door that isn't going to change. I'm just going to keep putting up with it, right?
Mhm.
So, which discomfort do I want? Or as a lot of people say, choose your hard, right? It's true.
Mm.
So, I had to just decide, okay, there's likely going to be some kind of discomfort on either side of this. Which one do I want? And which one is productive and gets me closer to the life and the career that I want. And so for me, that was the discomfort of going out on my own and trying something new and trying to sell coaching services to people twice my age, things like that. That felt really scary, right? But I also think that you have to just trust yourself and trust the universe, whatever you want to call it, that you are given the inclination and the desire to do something, you almost certainly have the ability to do it. But
Mm.
you just have to be willing to be uncomfortable in the beginning. So, absolutely, did I have fears and imposter syndrome? 100%, Kavita. Absolutely, I did. And I had just enough faith and desire to do it to push through that, just like 1% more, right?
Yeah.
If you can believe in yourself just 1% more than your fears, that is all you need. You don't have
Yes.
to be on top of the world and I'm super confident and I got it. You don't have to be at that place at all. You just
Yeah.
have to be 1% more confident.
That's really actually a really good point. I love that because some clients come to me say that I can't do this, I can't do it. Well, what is it exactly that you cannot do? Like, is
Right.
it like the whole mountain or is it just like putting on your running shoes? What is it? Like you can do that. And it's that 1% thing. And also I love that the discomfort in both ways. And well, I think it's also about reframing, right? Like you can look at it as discomfort, yes, or you can look at it as growth. Like,
Yeah.
if I do this, yes, I'll be uncomfortable, but I'm going to grow.
I
Right?
will get something for that discomfort.
Yes.
It will
Yeah.
come with a reward.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
recorded my 200th podcast episode, and I got really emotional because I was reflecting on it. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how did I do this? Right. In the beginning, I didn't even know how to start a podcast or what even podcasting really was. And then you get to where you are and then you look back and go, holy shit, like I did that. Right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
Well, and
you
you
know,
have to also be willing to be bad a little
yeah.
bit in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And I was
You,
really bad.
yeah, I
Really
was.
bad.
If I could go back and see the first website I put out, I would be horrified. Horrified. It looked terrible,
And
right?
yes.
Yes, and I'm sure like and I what I was charging was so little. It was a fraction of what I would charge now, but that's a reflection of where I was at the time. But I look at that and go, but I was willing to get started. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here and that's why I'm good today. You can't be good until you're willing to be bad first at it. I mean, you can't.
I love
But
that. I
that's
love
what
that. Yeah.
stops people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. I love that. You can't be good. You're willing to be bad. That's
You can
great.
reuse that quote then if you want to take it.
Lorraine Ryan
Yeah.
said that. Yes.
Says it's okay to be bad at things sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
So, so you help clients kind of break into new industries as well, right? Especially
Yeah,
in
yeah.
midlife. So without like having to necessarily start over, right? And sometimes that's a misconception. I think a lot of times is that clients will come to me and say that I can't do this because I don't know how to do the thing. And it's like, well, no, you do know how to do the thing because you have all this
Yeah.
experience. You're not starting over, you're starting from experience, right? So what are some of the tips and strategies you share with your clients or people that to break into these new industries?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. I think that if we look at it as, oh, I'm starting over, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, that's too overwhelming and you're not going to like the way that feels, right? No one wants to
Hmm.
start over when they're 45 or 50 or something like that.
Hmm.
So I agree with you. First step is reframing it as repurposing or leveraging your network, your experience, your knowledge, and we're just pivoting it to something else. But I think we also want to be thoughtful and intentional about what choice we make. So, for example, sometimes people, they just know they want to do something different, but they're not sure what it is. I want people to make a career change with thoughtfulness and intention. So, for example, if you're going to pivot from the pharmaceutical industry to the tech industry. Why? Why that? Why does that industry deserve? Is
Yeah.
it a passion? Is it an interest? Do you have adjacent experience that would actually be attractive? Let's not make it random. Pick
Hmm.
with intention and know why you're choosing that and what you bring to that industry. And if you don't know what you bring yet, that's okay. Do research.
Hmm.
Pivoting industries requires a lot of research. Would want somebody to start before they apply for jobs, before they nail down exactly what industry they're going to pivot to. I would maybe, if you don't know exactly, maybe shortlist it to 2, 3 max that you're interested in and start having conversations with people in those industries and just getting all kinds of information. What is it like? What are the hiring managers looking for? What are the key trends? And that way you're armed with more information and you can make an intentional choice and go, okay, moving to tech makes sense for me. And now I know why. Now I know more about it. So step one is getting clarity on what industry makes sense for you and why, and aligning with people in those industries and doing a significant amount of research so
Hmm.
that this is not a random, oh, that bright shiny object looks great. Some people do that with tech too, right? Like, oh, I want to break into tech because it just sounds sexy, right? But
Yeah.
they don't know anything about it. And they
Right.
don't have any connections in it. It doesn't mean you can't. You can
Yes.
obtain those things. But if you're really committed to this, you're not just going to choose at random. You're going to pivot to something that makes sense for your skill set and your interest. And that could be a lot of different things. There's a lot of industries that have kind of adjacent ones, like pharma and medical devices. That makes sense. Sometimes people will switch that up a little bit. So thinking about it from that perspective and being a little bit systematic and doing your research is really, really important, of course, then always making connections and aligning with people who are already in that industry and
Mm-hmm.
can help you.
Hmm. Really important points. And they seem kind of, you think that that would be a natural thing, but like it's like, well,
Yeah.
why? Why do you want to go into that industry? And then also, if you want to, like, don't just assume that you're going to get into it. And you have to do the research and the networking and
Yeah.
really see if your adjacent experience, as you said, is relevant
Yeah.
and can actually be attractive
Yeah.
for the
I
employers.
I
So
think a lot of people, like you said, it seems self-evident those steps, but what the problem is, I think that people, if they've never made an industry change, they underestimate the
yes.
the level of research and effort it takes sometimes to pivot. It's very possible, but they sometimes they think it's going to be a little easier than it is. And so that's why building your network out, joining professional associations is really important. Closing the skill gap. You might be very competitive in this industry, but maybe the tech or medical industry wants different skills. So maybe before you make the pivot, you learn that system or you get that skill, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes people just think the process is a little simpler than it is,
Hmm.
and they underestimate the steps involved and the depth of the research that might be necessary.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the steps are self-evident, but sometimes not the scope of
Yeah,
what is
that's,
required. Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Yes. So along the same lines, Lorraine, if let's say I'm a woman, I'm 58, which I am, and I go in and I want to start something new, but it's very competitive. And now ageism is also real, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So how do we stand out in this competitive environment? That's probably a huge question and a lot of answers, but I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, I've seen that a lot lately with the whole ageism thing, is that how do we stand out as women in midlife or women who are either starting something new or leaving a career, or how do we go about doing
Yeah. How do you kind of, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Having worked almost exclusively with mid and late career professionals, that word ageism comes up all the time. It's probably one of the biggest fears or barriers that people have. And you're right. It is a complex question. What might help one person stand out might be a little bit different from the next. So I think the foundational piece is, as an older job seeker or career changer, we want to make sure we are kicking butt on any of the stereotypes that might be out there. Okay, so having a modern presentation online and on paper, this is just the basic stuff, right? Making sure that your tech skills are up to date. Right now, I tell people, if you're not using AI, you're behind. If you don't know how AI is affecting your industry, you're behind
it?
already. So getting up to date with the trends and with technology, especially as it relates to the field that you are in, But one of the biggest pieces for standing out that people actually overlook is thought leadership and whether that's posting on LinkedIn or doing a podcast interview. People think that that's just for people like us who have businesses, but that's not true. Not at all. Doing a guest blog article, right? 99% of the population doesn't do that. Okay, looking for work. They just go on, they apply for jobs, they shoot off that resume, and they wait for the phone to ring. That's what most people do. And many executives too, you'd be surprised. A
Mm.
lot of them, that's what they do. So if you
Mhm.
want to stand out, you have to be willing to do what other people don't do. And one of the best ways to do that is creating original content on LinkedIn. I'm trying to remember what the number was of all the like billions, or I don't know how many millions of users LinkedIn has. A number that actually create original content is like 4 or 5%. It's almost none. We
Mm.
think it's a crowded space. It is not. It is
Yeah.
not.
No, it's not. Actually,
So
it's so funny you say that because I just
yes,
actually am going through training right now on how to tap into LinkedIn more, like I am in LinkedIn. But you're so right. It's about the content and original content. And I
yeah,
never really, I think people think that it's just for business people or entrepreneurs, but it's actually for
right.
people who are looking for jobs. Like that's such a great point. It's like, well, if you have some skill, if you have some expertise, you should share it in different ways that can influence others, right? So
Yes. Share,
yeah,
so it's as simple as posting comments on other people's posts, sharing articles, writing your own articles, or sharing your own thoughts on industry trends, doing a guest blog article, doing a podcast interview, anything like that is, especially if you're a senior leader. I say if you're a senior leader in your industry or even director level above, it should be assumed you should be doing it. You should have a point of view. You should
yes,
be contributing to the conversation. Don't just be a consumer, be a creator.
yes.
That's how you stand out. It's actually the other space of just being a consumer, just applying for jobs online, just having a profile. That's the crowded space.
Mm-hmm,
That's the crowded space.
mm-hmm.
So I teach a lot around thought leadership, creating content and creating your brand. And even more so for those who have more experience, I would expect at the mid and late career stage, you've got knowledge, you've got wisdom, you need to be sharing it.
Mm, I love that. I love what you said. You have these great lines. Don't be a consumer, be a creator. I love
That one's mine. I'll take that.
it. That's wonderful. So these are great tips. And I was wondering in terms of what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they transition careers or what that you've seen in your experience that maybe
Well,
you could
I think
avoid?
right now, the biggest mistake people just so much has changed in the hiring process just in the last 5 years, just since COVID, the onset of AI, this remote work battle. There's so much upheaval over the last few years in the job market. I think the biggest mistake that people make is assuming that the old way will still work. So what I mean is, I hear almost every day, and I'm not exaggerating, almost every day from people who say, I never used to have trouble getting a job. All I needed to do was just have a resume and my network would get me a job. I never had to try this hard. I've never experienced this. And they all say the same thing because just in the last couple of years, so many things have changed. The old methods don't work.
Hmm.
So it's not enough now to just think that you can fire off a bunch of applications and get a call back. I even used to be able to do that 15, 20 years ago. That would work. It doesn't work anymore,
Yeah.
right? The space is so crowded on things like online job applications. You're going to have to actually go back to really engaging your network and getting into that hidden job market and finding other ways to stand out, as I said, with the thought leadership and other things like that. So I think it's just that assumption that, oh, what worked for me when I got my last job 10 years ago is going to work for me today. No, things have changed a
Hmm.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I think it kind of leads into what you talked about a little earlier is developing your personal brand, like thought leadership, but also your personal brand, right? And when you have that, then also being able to leverage the network that you have already, right? So is there anything around that that you can talk to me about or like
Well, the best thing I can say, yes, is always leveraging your network. That is one thing that will never go out of style,
mm-hmm.
ever, ever, ever. And I
So how
really
do
have
you
to teach.
practically do that? How do you practically do that? Like nowadays?
Yes. Well, I think one of the things that I teach is connection points or connection triggers, right? So Things such as somebody graduates, it's their birthday, they get a new job, or even they get laid off. It doesn't have to be positive. Use these life events as a reason to get in touch with your network and rekindle those old relationships. But you don't even have to wait for a reason. But a lot of times people feel like they want to have a reason to reach out to somebody they haven't seen or talked to in a year,
Yeah.
right? They feel a
Yeah.
little uncomfortable. So make sure that you're active on LinkedIn, seeing when people get new jobs, when they post, hey, I graduated, I got this certificate, whatever it might be. Let that be a conversation starter and reach out to that person, not just to say, hey, congrats on the job and leave it at that. That's what most people do. In fact, they even just do the little canned like AI messages, boom, right?
Yeah.
Congrats, that's it. That's not networking, okay? I want you to actually reach out to that person with a thoughtful message and ask them to catch up. And
Mm.
if you do that repeatedly and maybe quarterly, you're making an effort to reach out to people in your network, you're going to find that you stay in touch with those people continuously and
Mm-hmm.
you're not even losing connection with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But look for conversation starters or connection points and reasons to reach out to people, even if, and I would do it when you don't need a job.
Mm-hmm.
That I would just do it on an ongoing basis and view networking as making friends. That's what I view it as.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I are in each other's network, making friends. We just have a conversation, right? There's no pressure at
Mm-hmm.
all. We're just meeting new people. That's all it
Yes.
has to be.
Yes.
But if you feel like you need to be more regimented about it because you are very busy and you don't always have time to just go talk to people, then schedule it. Put something on your calendar quarterly where you block off an afternoon to go get in touch with those key 15 to 20 contacts that you are really good in your career that you don't want to lose touch with.
Right.
If you can be a little more free flowing with it, then that's even better. Everybody's a little bit different. But I think that when you view networking as something that is ongoing forever, you're just always making friends and meeting new people. That is the best way to do it. And there's no pressure.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll wrap up with too, with networking, that is, it's so important to be a giver. Stop thinking about take, take, take. What can you give to other people? Can you share a post of theirs so it has more reach? Can you offer a book or a resource that would be really helpful to them? Little things like that. Always be giving. I constantly introduce people to each other. In fact, I did several this week. I love connecting people
Mm-hmm.
to other people that I know in my network. I think it's fun and it's helpful and people appreciate it. Can you connect somebody to somebody else this week?
Mm-hmm.
Adopt it as your lifestyle to be connecting people, helping people, staying in touch, and just make that a part of your long-term
Mm-hmm.
strategy.
That's great. That's great. I really love that because the idea that when you're connecting, it shouldn't be daunting. It should be like you're meeting somebody at a party or that it's like you're just having conversations. And the
Yeah.
more real you are, the more authentic you are, then that really shows up and that's easier. So just a kind of a reframing of connecting on LinkedIn or any other social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. That's really wonderful. Great tips. Thank you so much. So I'm sure we could talk for a long
Yeah,
time.
I know we
Give us-
probably could. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about I know you have a podcast as
Yeah.
well. You have a book. And so tell us about those things and also what's next for you? Anything you'd like to share around your business?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, my show is also called Career Uprising, just like my business. I just like to keep it simple. So you can find it on Apple and all of the major outlets. It's also on my website. If you go to careeruprising.com/podcast. I don't have as many episodes as you, Kavita. You have got me beat there, but I have maybe 147-ish, something like that. So I'll get to the 200 mark and celebrate with you when I catch up. So that's amazing. Yes, and I did write a book in 2023. It's called What You Didn't Learn in School: Lessons on Growth, Change, and Living Your Best Life. It's available on Amazon, and there's also a link right on my website as well that will take you to Barnes& and Noble or Amazon. And what's next for me is, I mean, just growing the business and celebrating 10 years this month,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Incidentally, in May
amazing.
is my 10-year
That's
anniversary,
wonderful.
still going strong. So
Congratulations.
I'll be celebrating that.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's congratulations. Yeah, we'll have all the links for sure in the show notes. And I love the name of your book too. So
Thank you.
that's great. Anything you'd like to kind of end off with just for listeners who may be contemplating this mid-career change or that
Yeah.
are kind of afraid or just maybe overwhelmed or even like frustrated, I would say.
Absolutely. I would tell anyone listening, midlife is just a new beginning. And I mean that. That's not just a tagline. I mean, I really mean that. It is. At this stage, we tend to feel stuck, we feel restless, or even less confident because we feel like we can't compete with younger people. But the truth is, we have more connections in larger networks, we have more experience, we have more wisdom. We should be flying high, and we can be. And I really, really believe, and I can say this now because I'm technically, I think, at the midlife stage at this point. So, and I feel like I'm just warming up. I have
Yeah,
so much more gas in the tank. So I just want people to know your mindset plays a huge role in this. I want you to view midlife as a great thing. You have valuable experience. You're just revving up for the next chapter, and it's a new beginning. It's not the end or anything like that. It's just the beginning of the next chapter. So
love it. Love it. You're speaking my language. Thank you so
oh, good, of course.
I really appreciate it. And
You,
yeah, we'll good luck with everything you do. And thanks
you
for all
as
your
well.
tips.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this inspiring conversation with Lorraine Rise. I hope it reminded you, like it reminded me, that midlife isn't a dead end, it's a doorway. You are not starting over. You're starting from wisdom, from experience, and from power. Whether you're ready to leave a career that no longer fits, break into a new industry, or finally create a life on your terms, your next chapter starts with one bold decision. If you're feeling stuck, unsure, or overwhelmed by what's next, you're not alone, and you don't have to figure it out alone either. So let's talk. If you're ready to explore your own reinvention, whether in your career or life, book a free discovery call with me. We'll dive into where you are right now, where you want to be, and how we can get there with clarity and confidence. Click the link in the show notes to book your call today. Your next chapter is waiting, my friend, and I'm here to help you write it. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers, and remember, it's never, never too late to reinvent yourself.